It is the Friday night. I've got Kev Walsh, Shaun O'Donnell and Phil Blundell having a lovely time. We're on the Erdinger. We are in Nova Scotia, slap bang on the front of the river. You've got the Museum of Liverpool just there, the Canal Basin just there, the river itself is just around there. The Museum of Liverpool might actually be there. I can't quite work out where we are there, but you know where we are. We're right underneath Avenue HQ. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be here with these three. All four of us go the game on season tickets. That's the way in which it works, and we know that we're lucky and privileged to do so. There was the members' sale this week, Phil, the second phase of this after the ballots, the point where they actually have to buy tickets. And it just all went very, very badly wrong, again, from Liverpool's point of view, but also from the point of view of the people who do it. I genuinely do not envy. So there's the members who can't even get to this point. There's Liverpool supporters who can't get to this point. There's the members who can't get to this point. Then the members who get to this point. They're now at the moment where they need to take time off. If you've got over 13 credits throughout the sale, there's people, well, they don't have to, but a lot of people do feel that they need to take time off. They need to not be at work. Tickets went on sale at 8:15. It was suspended at about 9 o'clock. They brought it back and then they confirmed they were going to have to close it and postpone it. My point here, Phil, and that's all the context that you need for now. My point here, Phil, is it's genuinely just not good. We're on the verge of really, really irritating Liverpool supporters here. And if there's one thing that I'm just not in favour of, it's needless pissing off of people who support Liverpool.
Yeah, if it was a one-off, you could sort of go, well, you know, these things happen with technology and stuff. But it seems to be every year. I'm not in the sale, but I know plenty of people who are, and I usually end up helping one way or the other because I have a job whereby I'm at a computer and it's very easy to do, and not everyone's always free. So,
no, 100%.
So I have experienced this. I didn't have to yesterday, but I have experienced situations where you're trying to change tickets, and it, like I did one either last year or last winter, I can't remember where it was, where it would take you basically have to add all the tickets you want. So there's 9 games yesterday. If you want to buy 4 tickets for each game, which you're entitled to, you have to basically add all 4 for each 9 games, and then it gives you 36 tickets. You then have to then change 27 of these tickets. If you want to change them to a kid or an OAP, you then have to change those again as well. So you have to do so many of these things, and there was one I did where it was taking a minute to take all these things to change because for some reason the page refreshes every time. What's basically happening is the load is breaking the system. Now, why this happens every time, I have no idea. I don't understand how you get it to a situation where they know this has happened, they know it's going to happen, they even know what's causing it to an extent, and nothing changes, and it must be so frustrating
at this point as well.
Yeah.
This is the next phase. Now there is, obviously you've just mentioned one moving part there, which is that there might be a couple of people with the same details as you trying to get on at the same time. That's possible, but they know approximately the number of people.
Yeah, well they actually stopped the same people with the same details usually because they've got unique links now where they email everyone a link. So previously people were going into offices and opening up 100 computers before everyone got there, and then finding out,
videos, and then finding out 100 phones out and the laptop,
and then finding which one had the quickest queue time, and that was that. Well, now you get one queue time, so there's only your one link. That's limited it to an extent, but it still obviously hasn't done the job. And the problem is obviously when you get in, like it still isn't working. There's obviously flaws to it. For example, 2 sets of my mates were buying yesterday. You know, we're all mates, but they sort of have to break down into smaller groups because you can only buy 4 at a time. And one of them ended up inadvertently buying a ticket for someone for the same game who'd already had one bought for them. So it obviously goes far deeper than it just being X, Y, or Z. There's other things coming from it as well that just aren't quite working, and something's got to be looked at. This way clearly doesn't work, so they need to find an alternative. I don't know what the alternative is, but something needs to change because it's not how you treat people.
For me, sorry about saying it, it feels like, as you say, the whole system's flawed, right? So, as you spoke about before, we're all privileged enough not to have to partake in that ourselves. The emotion involved in getting tickets is pretty heavy, particularly when it's Liverpool. But it feels like there needs to be a realisation somewhere in the business that you don't need to be the best at everything yourself. So, like, for example, you know, Liverpool don't get the next best number 9 from Stanley Park on a Sunday, they get him from Roma, it's Mo Salah, do you know what I mean? Is there a world where you just outsource this operation?
It's outsourced though, isn't it?
It's outsourced but internalised.
But for example, there's lots of ticketing platforms out there that could do something like this. So there's obviously the big mainstream ones, Skittles, C-Tickets and stuff like that. There's also smaller ticketing platforms that, if you know, a business as big as Liverpool could probably acquire if they wanted to do something of that size. You know, they could learn from other sports. So you look at Wimbledon, for example. I think the process there, that's a ballot. You have to enter to get a ticket there. You then get a unique link. You get 7 days to purchase tickets. You don't get to choose where you sit or where you are. You get allocated a seat, which, to be honest, would probably solve a lot of these issues. And then you've got 7 days to purchase it, which stops the load on there. So I feel like it's flawed. And what's inexcusable is that it's happened multiple times. It's not just a one-off now.
Twice a season.
Exactly.
Every season,
exactly. So it just feels like the whole system's just a mess.
It's fraught because people want to come and see Liverpool, Kevin. That's why, again, it's so important to say over and over again. We've got season tickets, you know, we get to go. And it's really important to have that humility about that we've got that bit, and that is a privilege, and you've got to go from there. But people are desperate to go and see Liverpool.
I'm dying to just say, fuck the members, I've got a season ticket.
No shit.
Kev Walsh making friends and influencing people yet again.
Have you met him? Have you met him?
Should have seen us when we were shit, like. Obviously, I'm only kidding, by the way, before anyone gets too irate in the comments.
Could be the worst one for you ever, that one, by the way.
And that is quite a bar.
That is quite a bar, yeah. There is something with the Kev where everyone wants to see Liverpool, and that's a really, really good thing. So the idea of, and this is why I've got both sympathy for them, but I lack sympathy because we are different. It's a different demand. It's a different demand even to Arsenal. It's a different demand, and it's a different sort of sense of an experience. And the way everyone does it is also different. But if you've gone out to the point of telling people you're members, charging them a membership fee, trying to do the togetherness bit, you've got to see it through all the way. You've got to get that experience right. It is different, and I think if you want it to be different for all the reasons that if you're Fenway Sports Group and you're the people who run Liverpool, there's all these positives, then you've got to suck these ones up and you've got to get solutions. I'm out of sympathy for excuses.
I've got zero sympathy for the club on most matters, and on this one in particular, I think they're absolutely dropping a bollock every single time. If you speak to somebody at the ticket office, they will feed back to you that it's not our fault, it's not the system's fault, it's you that are doing it wrong. So they're not saying that themselves, that's getting fed down to them. So they'll obviously be going, we're getting all these complaints, what's wrong with the system, and someone above them's going, system's absolutely fine, it's the morons starting to use it, and that's what annoys me.
But that's worn out now this week, I think, because they've had to suspend the sale, postpone the sales.
A million percent. But what he's saying is, you couldn't be more correct. You've shown time and time again, this is not working. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So whatever tweak or minor thing that they're going to do, I say, we understand the problem that we've had on this one. The next one will work perfectly. I don't think there's a person in the world, and including in Liverpool's ticket office, that will believe that that's going to be true. So it's time for them to just say, it might cost us a little bit more to do it, but we'll suck it up for the years we've put you through this. Because if they keep it going and going and going like this, the only conclusion I can draw is that they don't want people on 13 plus members. They don't want people who are basically guaranteed a ticket, because they certainly don't want any more season ticket holders. And a 13 plus member is effectively not too far away from that. Not quite as easy to buy the tickets, of course, but as far as the club are concerned, I think they see the likes of us season ticket holders and the people on 13 plus as a negative and not a positive.
Kev could be wrong.
I disagree completely.
Disagree with him by all means, but my point here is that Kev could be wrong. But whilst this happens, Phil, people are going to think as Kev thinks.
Yeah.
And I think that this is back to why it's a reputational issue for Liverpool to such an extent. Yeah. You could, as I say, you can disagree with Kev, and by all means do so right now if you want to. But for me, this is what drives me mad, is if Liverpool want us to think they're doing the best in all possible worlds, then you just need to see a bit more evidence of it. When you're seeing the same things over and over again, people are within the rights to say, well, if they wanted to fix this, they would.
Yeah, it is a bit difficult from another point of view, though.
It's hugely difficult.
Their job is to sell tickets, and what do they do at the end of every season? They sell every single ticket.
FSG on the payroll, mate, I'm telling you. Big John's text you today, Ali.
What a misrepresentation. What a misrepresentation, Kevin. Dear me. Dear God. No, it isn't good enough. It will always create things. It will create negativity and positions where you think maybe that's true, and even if it isn't, whether it is or not, I don't know. I personally don't think it is, but we have no conclusive proof either way, do we? But it is a system that isn't fit for purpose. We've all had, anyone who buys tickets regularly will have a problem at some point. So €1 away last season, when you buy European away tickets, You have to put in address, name, date of birth, passport details. You do far more information than you do on a normal game because UEFA ask to have all the information. And I got the confirmation email, and despite having entered everything correctly, I managed to have someone else's date of birth and then someone else's address. Now, theoretically, the club they have a thing where you have to show up your ID to pick the ticket up. Well, as far as I'm concerned, does that mean am I not going to be allowed to get that ticket? No, we contacted them and they realised it was just a data entry issue and it wasn't a thing. But that sort of tells you what the system is doing. So if the system can't take basic data and match it up into the next data column, it's not really a surprise. It's doing all this mad stuff that makes it really, really difficult for people, and there's got to be a better way.
Feels massively overcomplicated, doesn't it? As I say, I feel lucky not to be involved in these sales, but when you were saying before, you're putting 36 tickets in your basket and you change the name of every single ticket, that just feels like way too much complication. And there's something, as you've just said, as we've all said, it's so emotional. Like, when you're in that situation and you're the person who's going to change the names, you are shaking, you're nervous. You're on a timer.
There's a timer.
Yeah.
Countdown thing's the worst. It's like, you've got to do this, because one of the reasons you've got to do it quickly is if you've got 9 cop tickets, that's £39. Yeah. It's about what, 200, I think it's 351 quid. If you end up with 9 main stand tickets, that's 9 sets of 59 quid or 61 maybe this season. Yeah. It's an extra 200 quid. Yeah. Like, and that's simple. You're getting told you've got to do it quickly to get the tickets. Yeah. And that's also why it creates load at the start, because it's a guaranteed sale.
Yeah.
But it's not a guaranteed sale because you're fighting for the cheaper tickets.
Yeah.
So maybe what they need to do is take the
wouldn't be surprised
ballot extent slightly further and make it so that everybody has the opportunity to pay the same.
Or even offer the other way. There's so many people who would pay for the convenience of not having to pull the hair out and go, I don't mind sitting in the main stand. I'll happily pay 59 quid. But because everyone else is going, oh shit, they just get dragged along in it. Whereas obviously there would be more for the cut. But I think you'd be surprised by how many older fellas, or fellas our age and even older, who would go, I don't want to stand. You know what I mean?
There's lots of Erdinger.
Delicious Erdinger. I don't want to stand in the cop, I want to sit in the main stand, or I want to sit in the Kenny. So
this sale, for example, is a guaranteed sale whereby pretty much everybody will buy all 19 tickets. So you're almost creating a situation where them actually going on the website and buying them in the first place is just a complete waste of time in the first place. Like, if my mates, for example, could tick a box and said, we'll have 4 together in the cop, if that doesn't work, we'll have 4 together here. Yeah. If that doesn't work, we'll have 4 together here. And they get them, and they've saved
and all they have to do is 3 hours, card details and send the email back, and
and it's processed automatically like it is any other time. Just there's so much more we could be doing to help people, and it feels
just
like
text Shaun and ask him.
Text him back. Crucial detail there, Kev. Oh, that one. Hello. I hope you're well. You can't hear me as well that side. Erdinger, Nova Scotia. More in a second on Trent.
And Erdinger, please.
Stop! Don't forget the best bit.
We're back with Erdinger in Nova Scotia. Still got Shaun, still got Phil, whether we like it or not, we've still got Kevin. Got around with the punches. You had a tough trot there, I felt, Philip.
I don't know.
Are you going to talk about Trent Alexander-Arnold now as well, just to brace yourself?
I'm sure that'll go
swimmingly. I'm at the point where I've got minor concerns, Kev. it just feels now like I'm at the Dragon on point. The metaphor I keep using is it's a bit like you think you're the better side, you think you're going to win, but it's 0-0 on 70, and you wish it was 2-0 on 70, at which point you'd be having a nice chat to the person next to you. That's where I am now with Trent. I do begin to worry there is something in the back of his mind, which I think would be perfectly reasonable. There is something in an aim from another football club to get him to part from us. I love the football, I don't want him to go anywhere, but I could certainly see how we might have had enough of English football.
Yeah, 100%. Listen, I haven't even thought about the effect of the press in relation to the English national team and the effect that could have on him. But even just the pull of his bet, he's come out and said that Bellingham's his best mate in football, hasn't he? Yeah. Playing for Real Madrid and absolutely smashing the life out of it all season, going from being on his way to being a global superstar to a potential Ballon d'Or winner in 12 months, and then going, wouldn't mind a bit of that. So also, we haven't had any summer, and I know that might sound like a stupid thing to say, but he might be going, well, better over here, in all sense. But what, raining again, lad? I'm sitting by the pool in my undies. Do you know what I mean? These are all valid concerns, and the analogy with being a football match on 0-0 on 70, I think it's later than that, me personally, because in 6 weeks' time, if he hasn't signed that contract and the season started, and maybe it doesn't go as smoothly as we all want it to go, before you know it, you're just like, how bad is it really going to be if I leave here? And I feel like I'll be devastated if he goes, but I also feel like he won't get as tough of a ride as someone like McManaman did 25 years ago when he did the same thing.
I agree.
So please don't watch this and think I want you to go to it, because I don't, I'll be gutted. But Liverpool need to pull the finger out, and whatever the sticking points are, do whatever you need to do to get that lad to sign.
Money in the bank for John.
Honestly, telling you, that's what I want John's money for Trent. Trent, let me represent you, lad. I'll go through Phil.
There is with it, Phil. I think there's been moving parts, and there's been loads of reasons why I've got sympathy for everyone, why it's been difficult to pull together.
No sympathy for the club.
You've got the exit and the manager, which is obviously a big deal. The manager just brought him through. The manager is so important.
Before the exit of the manager also, in fact, because we basically gave him carte blanche to do what he wanted as a manager and run the football club as he saw fit. Now, he knew at the back of his mind he was probably not going to stay for very long. So why is the man that's been given all of the power, he's effectively given contracts out, but he's also not going to be here when the contracts matter, so why is that at the forefront of his mind? And it's probably one of those things where we've probably got to take a little look back at what's happened the last year or two and have a think about, was it the right thing to do?
But also just in general, I think it's, no matter who's having the conversation, I think it's difficult when the first question you would ask, go back 12 months, if you were representing Trent, is, well, who's the manager after this one? And no one's got an answer for it, where am I playing, and no one's got an answer for that either. And I think that's why I do have sympathy for everyone in amongst this, including the former manager himself, by the way, who wasn't in the position to be able to say, for certain, the manager's me, and certainly wasn't in a position to say, it's not me, it's Arne Slot.
And it's not a great look if you just outright lie to a footballer.
Which he'd never do.
That's not going to happen, nor should he. So it's been very, I think you're right, we've got ourselves in a situation which, I don't know if it was avoidable or not, to be perfectly honest.
I'm not sure, that's the mad thing. I'm not one for sympathy for the club, but I'm not sure it was avoidable either, because you've got a player who, regardless of what, I think anybody who really knows about football understands that he's a potential he's in the top 10 in the world as a player in any position, whether it's right back, whether it's centre mid. Just park that for a minute. But also, it's not his fault that he's going, well, I need these next few years of my career to be the best of my career. And it's also not quite Liverpool's fault that the man who could have made that happen has decided to go, I'm absolutely goosed because it's 9 years in my life and I feel like 100 years have gone. So it isn't necessarily anyone's fault, but maybe what you've got to do if you're the club is just go balls out and say, listen, what does it take for you to stay here? And show that as say to the new manager, listen, we've done this for you because we don't want the best player in our team going as you start off, you think, because we've also got, by the way, Mo Salah, who's probably going to be going in the next 2 or 3 years, and Virgil van Dijk, not probably, definitely going in the next 2 or 3 years. Imagine if you slot, you're going, what was I supposed to do? I've lost 3 of my best players in 3 successive summers, which is not beyond the realms of fantasy.
I think the reason I'm so nervous is because, a lot of the stuff you've said, you can see why he would. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
It's not a situation where you're looking at it thinking, no, there's no chance, where maybe previously you would look at it and go, I can't see that happening. you look at, like, you just talked about the next few years of his career. Look what they did to Gareth Bale. Do you know what I mean? He was a similar sort of, well, he was a right back, wasn't he, or left back? And he ended up going and playing further forward, which by all accounts it looks like Trent wants to do. I think the Klopp thing is massive. You know, all the talk about Bellingham as well, and seeing how well he has done. So you can absolutely see why he would do that. But for me, like, and also the other thing is he's won everything with Liverpool.
Yeah,
so he's won absolutely everything. So we could go and effectively hold his head up high and say I've won everything. Whereas maybe Gerrard in the past couldn't have done that, you know, when he was in a similar situation. The only thing I do keep coming back to why he wouldn't is I do still, you know, obviously he's still got loyalty to the team. I think he'll still want to make an impact because of what's happened at England in the Premier League. Yeah. So I think that he'll want to, you know, all the sorts of negative stuff that got said around him, scoring that penalty in his face when he did that. I think he'll want to come back into the Premier League and show everyone. Basically.
Only potential issue with that is though, it could be very Xabi Alonso showing the Premier League what he could do just before he went to Real Madrid, couldn't it? Do you know what I mean? If he makes that decision early enough.
It's a bit. Klopp with the Coutinho statue, isn't it? In terms of, like, you go to Real Madrid, he'd just be another player. Yeah. Whereas here, he'd be the captain in 2 or 3 years, wouldn't he? So there's a lot to weigh up from his point of view, I think. And it comes down to, ultimately, it will come down to what he decides is best for him. I don't think there's a lot you can do about this, but Real Madrid developed this tactic the last few years where they seem to basically get players to run down contracts.
Winning every European Cup really helps with that tactic, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, they're getting. They've signed people on free transfer from Bayern Munich, from PSG. It's not like those teams are able to sit up and go, well, we're going to stop you from doing this, because it just appears that you can't. So you just got to sort of.
That's the thing. They are clearly, like, we're all big clubs that you mentioned in there, but there's very clearly a biggest club. Yeah. And unfortunately, it's the worst lads in the world because it's fucking Real Madrid.
Football's always been a pecking order, hasn't it? And you move up and down it as you see fit, but pretty much for as long as I can remember, Real Madrid have been in the top. Like, you go back 25 years or however long ago it was, and they went and got Barcelona's best player. Yeah. Like, if you're able to go to your rivals and get their best player,
in the same summer that he got Zidane as well, didn't he?
Yeah. The year later.
The year later, didn't he?
And then David Beckham from Manchester United the year after that, and then Michael Owen the year after that. It's not a new thing, it's just what it is. It's in many ways it's no different to scores by an Alexis McAllister from Brighton.
But you also understand why just to sort of sum up on it, Phil, I think it also, and I don't mean this disrespectfully to anyone, it just looks a little bit more straightforward. You play, like, one of the funny things about playing now in England is there's 8 teams that could come in the top 4. Yeah. City almost certainly do. Something mad has to happen if City don't. But everyone else,
even them, they've got a managerial change.
Exactly. There's nothing nailed on and nothing nailed down. But City almost certainly will come in the top 4 next season. 99%. You can say that for next season for City. Then you get to Liverpool and Arsenal, and they're probably still both only about 85%. We've seen that it's gone wrong for us recently. Yeah. Arsenal, 2 or 3 injuries to key players could go badly wrong there as well. Real Madrid, you feel like, not only, it's not the idea of, well, you definitely win it every year, but I tell you what, you're going to be in it and you're going to be favourites every year.
And they play loads of games at half pace as well, which is lovely for you, for not being stressed. Nice. It sounds a bit of a ridiculous thing.
We were supposed to be talking on to this, weren't we? We appear to have talked them right onto the plane here.
Yeah. No, we should definitely stay here.
Yeah, stay here and be Liverpool captain. Yeah, that's what I'd do.
Yeah.
That's what I'd do as well.
On a side note, have you seen the relegation odds and seen where City are on the relegation odds?
Mad, isn't it?
Yeah, 14-1 to get relegated to City.
I don't think you get paid on it though, like a technicality of when Rangers got relegated and they didn't pay out because they got relegated 3 divisions and it was a new club that formed, so I wouldn't be rushing to have any money on it because I reckon there's a very easy get out card.
There we are. Excellent stuff. All went around the houses, didn't see that one coming at all.
Did not see.
Shaun, Phil, see you later on. It's Friday night with Erdinger.